Hello, hello, hi, hello, Murder Song. Okay, Aurora part 26. How much longer? Something like that. That's what we're getting. But is that all there is? No. There's loads. Hey, this is going to be an exciting one. We're almost up to the beginning of the actual album. And again, I'm going to do the chronologically incorrect order of doing... Am I? Maybe I'm not, actually. See, the thing is, when I initially did this, I put Through the Eyes of a Child after this one. When actually Through the Eyes of a Child was not released as a single until Adolescence was released, which was last year, I believe, maybe the year before. So really I shouldn't have put it there. I should have put it betwixt the album. I'm sort of deciding that I was wrong to plan to do that today. And in fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do what came chronologically. We got Murder Song. Admittedly, we got the acoustic version of Murder Song as the single, and I cannot remember for the life of me whether the non-acoustic version was on that single. However, oh yeah, no, actually we have both of them on that version of the single, so actually it seems like both of them were released at the same time. We might have a look at both of them, actually. Obviously there's not that much textural interest to look at in the other version, but there might be some structural differences, and there might well be some harmony differences. In fact, I know there are. Now, I won't have any score for that one because I have just decided to do this on a whim, but it's going to be fun and exciting. Oh, did I start on this? Okay, well, hi. I meant to start on on this view, but I guess we can just get straight into it. Hi, it's MuseScore. Hey, by the way, I have just set up a buy me a coffee, which will be linked in the description to this video. So feel free to buy me a coffee, or whatever. I would appreciate it. Money's hard, I know. I don't like selling anything. I am very happy to keep providing these for free until my confidence wanes or my general level of interest wanes. But if you want to see them continue further than that, you'll have to make it financially incentivized, I suppose. Anyway, let's have a look. Why not? Let's have a look at the acoustic version first. So this is going to look weird on that little panel for a little moment. Okay. So this is a really nice acoustic guitar passage, and I've cleverly left all my acoustic guitars elsewhere, and I have a broken string on this guitar, but nonetheless, here we go. We're in A minor for this one. That's what it's doing. If you can hear that. Okay, now it would be doing this in root position, but I'm missing a string, so I'm not doing it there. Although after that it'll have to do that. Now the thing about this fingerstyle pattern is it's basically a broken chord. It's a A minor chord. Okay, and I know that the score there says B minor. That's interesting, isn't it? I wonder why. But this is definitely A minor. Now the chord, it's just all three notes of that chord just done in different orders, and so they all sort of feel like different voices popping out. So we have dum 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 da da dee dum da, and they're going all in that order, over and over again. Oh, not quite that order. Dum ba dum ba bum ba dum ba bum da dum ba dum. That kind of thing. Okay. Now the most important one there, other than the bass note, is that top one, because we get that pinging out every single chord. Just once. So it's 1, 2, ba. Then it comes just before the third beat. Then on the next one, which I can't play here, but there it is. There's the other one. Okay, and then we get it on the next one. There it is again. And then the chord changes, but we still get that note pinging out. Okay, so we've had a few different things happen there. The main one is we've got this descending bass line that then returns. It goes from note 1 of the key to note 7 to note 6 to note 7 back to note 1. Okay, so it kind of goes down and then back. We've got the same chord over each of those bass notes. We've got the A minor chord, then we've got an A minor with a G in the bass, then we've got an A minor with an F in the bass. But then when we get to the G again, we change to an actual G chord, a G major chord, chord 7 of this key. Okay, so we're keeping to chord 1 for most of this, but because we've got that bass line moving, it really doesn't feel the same from chord to chord. And that G chord, well, it's mostly notes that aren't in the A major chord, but we have that added pinging out top notes, which is an E, that is in the A minor chord. It's not normally in the G chord, so that's a bit of an added note to the G chord there. But it feels very comfortable because it has been prepared in the 3 previous chords. Okay, so that's basically our intro there. And then we're into the verse, right?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, not quite, because in this we have this interesting sort of refrain of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's not very complicated. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 4 notes the same pitch. 1 just goes 1 tiny note lower. Fits very nicely with that first chord. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then when we move down, the 1 isn't in that A minor chord now. We've moved from the A minor chord down, following the bass. And if we just had those, it would sound really nice and consonant. But those 2 notes are kind of acting against this pedal chord, this chord that keeps holding on. 1. So it almost gets a G and an A at the same time, really conflicting with each other just for that moment. And then same when we get it again, we've got the F in the bass. 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. That time we change to the G chord, and the 1 resolves into the G chord, so it sounds more comfortable, I guess. So there's this layer of subtlety there. On some extreme level, we might say that is like a comfortable one at the end and a less comfortable one to begin with. So sort of resolving in some kind of way. If you don't agree with that, feel free to say. I'm very interested in people who want to get away from this hegemony that resolution and tension and release have over how music is understood. Okay, so we've had our refrain rather than going straight into the verse. But interestingly, structurally, we had a bit of intro, a bit of guitar intro before we even got the refrain, which we don't have in the other version.
The gun against my head.
So this is very similar to the other version melody-wise, but the difference is just in very specific performance differences, right? It's a much quieter setting, even than the beginning of the other one where we just have piano and voice. This feels much more intimate and sort of close. So there's a lot of softer singing, I would say. We get that again, which starts quiet and then, starts relatively loud, against, and retreats as we go up to the high note. So we get that very different sound there. The melody is pretty straightforward. It's basically 4 different sections of 2 notes. We get he holds the gun against my head, or my head. Okay, the first 2 notes fit really nicely in that chord. As we move the bass note down, the gun is still in that chord again. Well, that one is a little unexpected. It's in the pentatonic scale, so it's not one of these out there notes, but it does feel a bit strange against the F, but then it resolves up to the A, which is in the chord, and fits well with the F. My head. Now that's the added note to this chord. It makes it a G6 chord, if for anyone who's interested. So it resolves to the added note, which doesn't feel as comfortable as the other notes, but if you're going to add one note to a chord, the 6 is going to make it really, really sort of I don't know, a beach in the Mediterranean kind of sounding, just very, very comfortable. This kind of thing, you know. Anyway, if you're interested, my song Away From Everything has a load of those chords in, and they are used in a very different way that's less comfortable. Anyway, moving on.
I close my eyes.
Okay, so this time we have a little bit more different. I close, immediately going for that second of the key. Now we know if in minor keys, the second is quite a powerful note. I close, quite a big tension there. My eyes, we have a little melisma, which we don't normally get there as well.
And bang, I am dead.
Very similar to the previous one, but coming down just straight from that top note. I am dead. So very similar.
I know.
And there's our extra voice, Odd Martin, I believe. No, no. And this is a rare thing for Aurora, isn't it, to have an extra singer on the song? At least in this fashion.
He knows.
And these are working together in thirds. So, I know. Is that what she does?
And
Let's hear it again.
I am dead. I know.
So it's that second of the key. Feels more comfortable in the G chord there, but then immediately as we get back to the A minor chord, back to no, and odd lines on no, so they're a third apart. The comfortable, most straightforward harmony ways. She knows, and then that's 2 notes that are in a G chord, but not in the held A chord. So we get knows. We get this real tension, 2 chords sat over each other, like we got in Running with the Wolves a fair time. But with Running with the Wolves, it was always one chord slowly dissolving into another one, but here they're really held together.
He knows that he's king.
Yeah, and then that he still thirds there, but then Aurora jumps up, and then they go to a fifth there, which against the the F is pretty unusual, but again it's adding a 6th. Now the works pretty well. It's our A, our root note of the scale. But the key that Odd Martin's on is a little bit unusual, not in there normally. So it's adding to the chord. It's not making it particularly like unpleasant sounding, it's just an unusual one to add. For mercy, for mercy. This is an interesting bit. Because they're in fifths still, but these are two different fifths. That's a diminished fifth, and this is a perfect fifth. The diminished fifth, let's move back to the piano. Ooh. The diminished fifth sounds pretty nasty and unresolved, whereas the normal fifth sounds really nice. And also, this is going to this on the G chord, so we get the G chord underneath, and we get, which is an interesting one. This by itself is a G7, which is not resolved kind of dominant or wants to resolve kind of sounding chord, and this note resolves to our added sixth, so that's the one that's coming through in the guitar part. But then Odd Martin's voice resolves to the A. So really not what you might expect. Maybe this is narratively like two people bound together, but in a quite unpleasant way, something like that.
And here I go.
Okay, so this is where we normally get the okay, but we've not got that in this version. We've got the thing going in the background anyway, the kind of thing.
Me for mercy, and here I go. Oh, 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 oh.
So again, they're in thirds. So we get that A minor chord, and they come back to the A minor chord. Now, much more melismatic here, isn't it? We've had very syllabic singing up till this point, but now, yeah, melismatic going between two notes, just waving up and down between the C and the B there, and the A and the G there. As the bass changes, it basically stays the same.
Oh, oh, oh,
Oh, no it doesn't. Yeah. On maybe the most dissonant moment she could do, we get that B against the F. Now you know in minor, the B with the second note, which is B in this one, and the sixth note, which is F in this one. They're the most powerful, most emotional notes, and having them both together here, when we've got this whole big chord, that's quite a powerful moment there. Even though it's so, low key in a lot of ways. Just for a little moment. Yeah, and finally, it feels nice and comfortable on the G. Before,
and here I go.
Same thing again. Well, it was almost the same thing. And here I go. We get from Odd Martin, from Aurora, two really close notes fighting against each other.
And he holds my body in his arms. He didn't.
Same thing, still the same set of chords going all the way through this so far. The melody is a little bit more active here, isn't it? We've so before we just had two notes at a time, but here we've got many more words, so we've got to do much more with the melody. Although it's still keeping to two notes really. Holds my body in his arms. He didn't mean to do no wrong.
Mean to do no harm, and he holds me tight.
Okay, and it calms down by that second part. Holds me tight. inside, just like before, just like the previous verse.
Oh, he did it all to spend me from.
Really elongated second dissonance there. Did it all to save me from. You know, the chord is this one, and she's really hanging out on that emotion-filled B there. Ooh.
The awful things in life that come.
There they go back to the fifths. Jumping up a little higher that time. The awful things. It could have been the awful things the life could do. But this time it's awful things the life could do, etc. Now they're both pretty high, still in fifths, which is interesting, isn't it? We get this yeah. What do we want? So treating it like a proper, F chord. We don't get that F B thing here, but we do get the B followed by the F. So we've got B and C up here, E and F here. Yeah. So this time that G chord, we do get the G chord in the guitar. Ooh, Aurora singing that, and Odd Martin now is on the E. So normally we get Aurora finishing on that one, but here we've got Odd Martin cries and cries, adding up that extra note. It makes it feel a lot sadder now in this kind of voicing. It's kind of an interesting one because some people would say a 6 chord isn't really a 6 chord because it's got all the same notes as a minor 7 chord. If we had an E in the bass and we had that, it'd sound a lot kind of sadder. So there's a bit of a push and pull with that chord.
I know.
No, little extra melisma.
He knows that he's killing me for mercy.
Yeah, important maybe to say how a lot of these phrases are sort of very fluid with dynamics, and we get like a bloom on a couple of notes and then they come back. I know, he knows, right? And then that's different as we get to killing me for mercy. Much longer feeling phrase. Even though the others are pretty much joined together as well, this one feels a lot longer because there's this through line joining all the notes dynamically. I think that's another phrase we don't get in the other one, but we'll see that when we get there.
And here I go. Oh, oh, oh.
Slightly louder, isn't it? This one. But very much same kind of thing happening.
And here I go. Oh, oh, oh.
Yeah, pretty much the same harmonies. Getting a lot of that dissonance between the A and the B, the 1 and the 2. Don't think we got that last time, did we? But that's nice. When the F gets down there, Aurora's on the E, and the F and the E are the 5 and the 6. They fight against each other pretty hard. It's really, really nice.
He holds my.
Okay, so this is our first change in harmony. We've gone 2.5 minutes without changing this particular pattern, and it's, it's a good pattern. Could go longer, but here we have a change. We've really landed on that F. Now we have had the F as a bass note, and with the A minor it kind of sounds like an F chord anyway, but now we're really stuck on that F as a main chord. Yeah, and we've lost the E repeating at the top, so it's that note. So we don't have the continuity even in the guitar part. the thing that is continued is the finger picking and the arpeggiated style. That's still continued, but the chords don't have the matching note that has held them all together so far. So still we're kind of stuck between two notes. We've got a lot of this going on in this song. Those two again, so it's almost like a sequence where we've done one melody. It's slightly different rhythmically, but pretty much the same notes wise, just moving down the scale. Yeah, this absolutely haunting bit of, which isn't quite the same on the other version, is it? But the holds me tight. Oh gosh, the absolutely sudden full-throatedness of that is pretty crazy, isn't it? And it's really beautiful over the harmony. I guess that's two notes again, doo-doo, and then doo-doo. We sort of move down for me, doo-doo, me, and then two notes again. So we're doing it in little two note adjacent note combos here, which is sort of interesting. It does make it feel a little jumpy, especially when we move up to those top ones. But nonetheless, very powerful, and we have this absolutely beautiful harmony. Now, this kind of movement down is a real classic of movement. It you know, so we would often get that at the end, right? But we don't get that here. We get, so we sort of bring it back in a slightly different way. But here we've got an even more classic, I would say, which is this. I mean, what is even going on? We've got a chromatic movement, which is the first time we've had something like this in Aurora's music. We're basically moving up note by note as much as we can in a Western system. F is our bottom note. Then F sharp is our bottom note. Then G is our bottom note. Then G sharp is our bottom note. Ooh, lovely. And the chords change sympathetically to that, so we don't get anything where it's just the A chord. We'd have a bit of an intense relationship if we had the A chord with that G sharp. So we don't get that. Let's hear it again.
He holds my body in his arms. He didn't mean to do no harmony. Holds me tight.
Yeah. So we get an F chord to begin with, which is just fine, and then we get, well, actually, as if we hadn't changed the chord, the A minor is in the middle with the F sharp on the bass. That makes what's known as a half diminished chord. Doesn't matter why, just take it as a half diminished chord. It's sort of like, ooh, not quite as weird as that, but still a little bit unsettled, uncomfortable, definitely wants to move somewhere, and it does. It moves to a nice comfortable G chord. We've had that as our comfort chord before, but then it moves on to well, what sounds like another half diminished chord for a bit, but we don't have this note in there, so it's this diminished chord, but then we get this E in there, and we get that in the melody too. Tight! That top E there. That is giving us an E7 chord with a G sharp in the bass. So how these relate to our sort of home of A minor, the F is like chord 6, and then, well, this would be, I guess, sharp 6 half diminished is how you would normally see that. Half diminished chords are sort of a mystery to theorists. And then we get our 7 chord really comfortably and straightforwardly, and then Well, this is what makes it minor as opposed to aeolian mode. In aeolian mode, we would just get all those notes and it would be straightforward and comfortable. But in minor, in harmonic minor, you get this sharpening of the G to the G sharp to make the 5 chord, which is what this E chord is, really sort of, whoa, this, you know, compared to this softness that the 5 chord would normally have, right? Compared to that, has this hardness, this aggressive brightness, which feels almost like gothically inappropriate, I would say, but nonetheless, that's what we've got here in this very gothic, dark harmony with this chromatic line. There's our 5 chord, and it's a 5 chord in first inversion, so we don't have the right note in the bass, and that makes it feel even more sort of untethered. Oh, hang on, was Odd Martin singing in that previous bit?
To do no harmony, holds me tight. Oh.
No, they come in together there on the O. O on the D, 7th of the chord. O. Okay, 6ths apart here, so that's more comfortable than we've had some things here.
He did it all to spare me from the awful things in life that comes and cries and cries.
Oh, well, very different approach to this bit. The other one just keeps punching all the way through to the end of Cries. We're just absolutely gunning for it with the ensemble, but here it comes down after the awful things of life have come, blah blah, whatever. Now they keep those 6ths going the whole time. He did it all to stop me from the awful things of life have come, and he cries, and then it's just Aurora on her own, cries, for a higher C, nice and soft. How does that relate to the chord? Well, does that sound like a resolved chord to you? This F chord doesn't have the D of Odd Martin, it doesn't have the B of Aurora, so we are really going for 2 different chords. It's really a G chord is what we're hoping for here. So they're sat on a G chord while we're sat on an F, then they stay on that for our F sharp half diminished chord, which suddenly becomes something very complicated. Yeah, I mean there's 6 different notes in that, and then finally we resolve to that G, but we don't stay there. We get cries, so we can't even leave that E. If we'd stayed on the B, cries, it would have been fine. But we go to the most fighty notes, not the 2, the B there, but the flat 3, cries, just 1 note higher before resolving, and then finally back to A. Beautiful stuff, slightly, you know, based on classic forms, so I'm not going to say it's the most original thing, though when you get this kind of thing you have to think, where's that come from? But yeah, it's based on classic forms, nonetheless a really, really powerful rendition of those classic forms. Okay, and keeping on going, back to our
5,
intro.
4, 3, 2, 1.
Same kind of thing.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
So that melody came in after a whole repetition of the pattern the first time. So we went all the way down the bass notes and back up, and then 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 came in. But here we've started halfway through. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, and then yeah, we get a different one here. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Absolutely beautiful 7th jump. Instead of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, which is just moving down a note, we go to the same note up an octave. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All the way up there. And we resolve it back to the C in the chord, which is another thing we didn't do before. Not necessary, I think, but a little prosody again, a little specificity.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
A little bit of lethargy in those ones. Did you feel that? Maybe a slight getting slower from the guitar. And then
The gun is gone.
you can hear the reverb actually on here, or there's like a slight delay on the voice, and I don't like that so much.
And so am I. And here I go.
Very similar then to the other one there. But these are phrases we haven't had before. The gun is gone. Well, that's pretty like a lot of our phrases. Didn't mean to do no wrong. I guess it's kind of like that, same notes as that. But then, and so am I. We haven't had a descending phrase like that before. Interesting. And here I go, and here I go. Well, we've had that in the other version, but in this version we have, and here I go. so that's curious, isn't it? It's a curious relationship we have to the normal or the studio version of this. In this one, there are some alterations and some things we keep the same, but it does feel more resolved. Da 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 da. It finishes on the most, resolved chord, that A minor that we started on. Yeah, okay. So now we've had a look at that one. Let's have a look at the studio version. Ah! Well, we're no longer in A minor. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're in B minor, which is a whole step up. Okay, so this one might have sounded a little more comfortable for Aurora's voice. This one's going to sound a little brighter, a little more aggressive, maybe.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And in replacement of the fingerstyle guitar, whatever it was doing, we've got a more simple piano thing that's still doing a broken chord, but it's just doing 1, 5, 3, 5, 1, 5, 3, 5, 1, 5, 3, 5. Okay, just going through the main notes of the chord in one small triadic area. Let's have a look at that on the score. There it is. Okay, bum 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 bum. It just does that, okay? Meanwhile, we've got more than one voice, haven't we? We've still got the one in the middle, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. But we've got a whole triad of voices. Yeah, and they resolve down. Well, is it resolution? No, because it's going against the chord. They start in comfortable with the chord, and then they jump up as well. Always going from the B minor chord to the A, so that's like our A minor to G in the previous one, but here it's just higher. Okay, it's the same relationship, so we think of this as the 1 chord and this is the 7 chord. Okay, but this time we don't resolve ever to that A chord in the accompaniment. The accompaniment just keeps going with the B chord. Okay, moving on.
He holds the gun against my head.
Yeah, very similar. Does sound a little sweeter, doesn't it? This higher version. It's also presumably a little more compressed, So the voice sounds a little smaller overall. Maybe it's pitched up as well. I wouldn't want to say it is, but it could be. The gun against my head. I don't know. Yeah, it's pretty similar. You could think of this all having a sort of specific contour. The first one comes down, the second one goes up, then we get another up, and then another down. So we're sort of balanced phrases in that kind of way as well.
I close my eyes and bang, I am there.
Now we do actually have a little more movement in the piano here. We basically do the same thing here, okay, as we've done in the previous one. So the bass moves down, B to A, okay, but now we don't actually have a B in the chord, so it doesn't actually feel like a B chord anymore. It feels like a D major chord, admittedly with an A in the bass, but it feels like a D major chord. So it's a little bit of a different feel there. And then actually the whole pattern changes here to match an E minor chord, which is our 4 chord of the key. And then in that 4th bar we get this sort of hybrid between that one, the E minor chord, and the and I guess an A, but we don't get the C sharp, which would make it an A chord. We get a B instead, giving us, readying us to go back to the 1 in some kind of way. It's just a bit of a strange chord. You could call it a 7 sus2. That's what I've written there. You could call it that. And we get these interesting echoes the second time around, where we get yeah. Okay, so it's almost like it's going he holds in the piano there. They're just little phrases filling in that big, gap or held note from the melody. So it's a bit like counterpoint, but it's very, very simple. Same kind of phrase, but with a couple more words there at the end. I am dead. And I close. We go for that 2 again. Okay, I close my eyes. Most other things pretty comfortable in this, but that 2, that's really an identifying factor of this song.
I know he knows that he's killed me for mercy.
So here's an interesting one. We do have the melody here. I know he knows that he's killing me for mercy. That's the same thing as Aurora did pretty much in the previous one, but now that feels like the backing. It feels like the higher backing singing, whereas the I know he knows that he's killing me for mercy feels like the main melody. It's an interesting way that's rebalanced, but yeah, that's what it is. It's rebalanced in that way. They're nice, mostly sort of thirds harmonies again, but not straight away. So we don't get I know. We get I know. We get this 5th to begin with, then some thirds, and then another 5th, and that sort of really gives us that E minor chord that's new to this version, and then some 4ths, finally going to a 5th. So a little bit scary on this kind of thing. Also that resolves to that B chord before we have got there in the accompaniment, so another sort of anticipation, like we've seen a lot happening in Aurora's songs, these early anticipations of resolution. So that's fun. It's a crazy sort of jump up in the middle. The I know he knows are sort of similar, that he is key. and then dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. It's almost like dee-dee-dee-dee-dee-dee. Two of the same phrase again at the end, but those don't match the first one, so they're not so balanced in that kind of way this time. And here I go. Well, this is the phrase we got very close to the end of the other one. Oh, it's very close to the last phrase of the other one. And here I go. It just sticks on one note at the beginning. Okay, a new sort of shape. And then, oh no, just before we do that, we've also got another sort of echo. I know. Yeah. Gosh. That's it. Okay, so again, taking the place of those long notes. The last one, you could argue, there's not so much long note there. Killing is still a little bit long, but not that much. Anyway, and here we go. Here we go. So this still has the oh, 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 but it's not quite the same. It's not quite the same. It's a different rhythm. That one, oh, 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 oh. Yeah, how is that going? Oh, 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 oh. This has a one more each bar. So we get so yeah, here I go. Okay, bad demonstration, I think, but the point is it's much more robotic. We haven't got the that little melisma there. It's and we've got at the same time these fifths, emotionless fifths, and then just one note as we go up at the end of the second repetition before we start exactly the same thing again. So really, really robotic, kind of funky rhythm, and that's nice, but that pales in comparison to the funky rhythm of the other parts. Let's see if I can play it. Close. I'll give it one more go. Okay, alright, that'll do. Yeah, lovely, lovely rhythm. This da-da-da at the beginning is so emphatic. Just like that. Okay, I'm going to stop playing piano for a bit. Da-da-da! It's really powerful and in your face. Out of nowhere, we've had this very straightforward voice and piano accompaniment, and we have a shh leading us in, but nothing prepares you for this. This very powerful octaves melody here. I think, in fact, it's in 3 different octaves. Let's hear it again. I can't hear the middle octave actually, but I can hear these ones. And obviously I didn't want to write things in that octave, 2 octaves on the same stave. But yeah, it's really cool. It steps down from the first one. So we get, at the beginning of the next part, we get the same thing. And then we get, and here I go, and here I go. It's not sung this time, but it's basically the same thing, da 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 da, just with a slightly more bouncy rhythm, slightly more syncopated rhythm, and the rhythm is really, really satisfying. The main thing about it is that we only get that one on the beat the first time, da da da. Okay, da da da. We only get that the first time, and then the next time it's an anticipation. Anticipation the third time, and it's kind of an anticipation the 4th time as well, but that 4th time we go to that chord that's unresolved, that sus2 chord, So there, it doesn't feel like, well, the melody feels finished, da 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 da, because it's coming to the 1, hey, but the chords have not quite caught up with it. So again, you could see that as a very early anticipation of the beginning again, where it is pretty resolved. Yeah, interesting this one, because this is our chord, and it's giving us an E in the middle. That's interesting. It feels much more resolved on that third chord. Yeah, altogether, really satisfying, cool melody. Is there anything else to say about that? Yeah. It jumps back, which is fun. You sort of go down 1, 2, 3, 4, jump, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, jump back, and then a slightly different one to end there. So you do have a bit of repetition even inside, or a bit of motivic development even inside the melody as it exists the first time. And we get "and here I go" as well after the first time. Second time, pretty much the same. It's interesting because this doesn't have quite as intense a rhythm. We don't have constantly moving semiquavers like we do in the other one. What do we have? We have that kind of thing moving constantly. But because we don't have that, the rhythm feels a little more graspable. You know, there's a stronger beat, and there's clear things that go against that beat as well. Nice. Okay, then we are going to the second verse.
He holds my body in his arms. He didn't mean to do no harm, and he holds me tight.
Like the other one, we've just got lots more words. We've got this this minuscule minuscule sequence. I get "he holds my body in his arms. He didn't mean to do no wrong. Da 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 do 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 do. Ba 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 da da da." Yeah, it's the same as "Eye of the Tiger," but used in quite a different way. And it's been used, actually, it's the same thing, isn't it? So we're using this as our sort of main motivic thing here, and we've done loads of different things with it. There's another. Okay, but very different treatment there. And interesting how it goes from very wordy to a held word. Nice word painting, I guess.
Did it all to spare me from the awful things in life that comes, and he cries and cries.
Yeah, similar kind of harmonies here, but we have this "did it all" in the lowest one here, and then they meet for a moment. Fifth to end there. So this first one is interesting because it's got that. It could be "he did it all to spare me from," but it's not. It's "he did it all to spare me from." So it's deliberately playing into that second, that strong dissonance there, which we get at the end as well. Cries, although that's our unresolved chord, so anything goes on that chord somewhat. It doesn't quite sound as intense because there isn't a comfort to fight against. Okay. Now, similar thing here to what we had last time, although I have not written in the other. Oh yeah. Interesting. Why have I done that twice? Because it looks very similar to me, and it even ends. Oh, okay, it ends almost the same. and here I go is the end of the first one, and here I go is the end of this one. That's interesting. We've also got a very similar motif in the bottom, but instead of it's now octaves in a couple of different instruments. Okay, second chorus, pretty much the same, but it sounds so good. Why don't we just have another listen to it? Okay, and we know what we're doing in this section. We are doing some crazy stuff. Now we've gone to our second chord sequence, but we're not here anymore. Just remind myself of that. We're now here. Does it do exactly the same thing? No. The one that is the scary one is this second chord, where we would normally have that half diminished chord. Here we get something slightly different. We still get the G, or the 6th chord, but instead of getting this, we actually kind of get this, which is a really hard chord to describe accurately. It's got a lot of things in it. Yeah, the main thing that makes it weird is this, the D sharp at the top. So if we're thinking in B minor, the D is the note that makes it minor. If we change that to D sharp, we suddenly get B major, and then it's this altogether different sound. Here we're getting that like that, okay, and so it really is a chromatic interest, because as well as that, it's sort of like parallel fifths with the bass. Now the bass normally in this pattern, it doesn't have parallel. It would go to something like that or that, okay, or the D would stay where it is. That's the kind of main thing, but the D moving here really gives it this much sort of slightly sickly bright sound to it, which it doesn't have in the other version. It's much less conventional as well. You know how this that kind of thing is very conventional. Here we've changed that second chord and given it a very unusual feeling before we then go back to what are basically the conventional sounding things. Another thing that's kind of weird here that is really hard to hear is something I only picked up today. But we've got these low synths, these really buzzy synths going yeah, no, something like that. No. Yeah. Anyway, we've got these sort of buzzy lines going on in the low frequencies, and those actually contradict that sharpened D sharp. So we get a bit of the D in there as well as the D sharp. So we've got a really, really intense, complicated harmony going on here. And then those, in the second time, they go in thirds together. So we get yeah, while we have that bass moving. It's not quite like that, is it? Never mind. Anyway, the point is that they're moving underneath. Why not? Let's have a listen to what I've got programmed. Yeah, it's gross. Also, we've got a bit of a a show of the melody that comes over this section next time there. But yeah, okay, the melody then. How does the melody fit? Very nice. Da, 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 da. No problems. Da. Oh no. Da. Now that would be fine if this was still the half diminished chord. As it is, it's still adding the kind of same, the 7th note, so it's not as dissonant as the other things going on. It is a little bit of a strange movement, but it's also nice because the bass and the melody are moving in opposite directions, contrary motion. And then we jump up. When we jump up straight, and he cries, we don't go cries this time, which is, well, different. If you prefer it, you prefer it. We also don't have any cries, big belting of it either. So, you know, swings and roundabouts, and then we get this chromatic change, false relation on the change. Cries and cries. Cries. So we get this A that suddenly changes to A sharp, just like the bass does. So not contrary motion here, but parallel motion across octaves, parallel octaves. A little bit of an unexpected thing to happen, and then it jumps up to the 1 of that chord, the 5 of the whole key, really high, F sharp, very powerful. Again, doesn't slide up, so it's not and cries like in the previous one. So we have a kind of cleaner version. If that's better or not is another question. Let's have a listen to the melody in the next part of it. Yeah, so this is a curious one because we pretty much stick on that C this time. Now, that doesn't sound comfortable in the D chord. No, sorry, the G chord. They're really fighting against each other. So again, it's the 2 of the key against the 6. Sounds a little bit more comfortable in this one, but a little strange. That's our added 11, which we don't normally get. We're okay with it though. And then he, finally, comfortable. And then we get this moment just on the edge here where we kind of get both notes, the and the and, real false relation scrunch. Yeah, it's kind of both of them, but they don't really bite against each other. But they kind of get that for a moment, and then instead of getting the cries, we don't quite get that this time. We get a sort of slightly sharp C, something like that, against that 5 chord, rather than the sharpened note to fight against it really hard. It's just not quite there. It's quite hard to sing something in the same kind of way, and then it just resolves down. We go back to our refrain. Let's go back to our refrain. Literally the same thing. Literally the same thing we heard at the beginning. Oh, but the piano stops. The piano stops that last time instead of 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Sorry, that's what it does. That's what we have the first time, and then we go on. Instead of that, here we get this pause. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. With this re-triggering B coming through. And then we're back to our strange pattern, our G, our 6, sharp 6. Oh yeah, I guess that should be a sharp 6 minor, shouldn't it? Sharp 6 minor, wow. 6, sharp 6 minor, 7, and then 5/7 B. Woo! Cool. Yeah, we go back to that, but we've got a different melody over the top. A hook. This definitely has some similarities to the, and I'm sorry to play it there early because it's such a satisfying thing when it comes back later, but this is very stepwise. We don't normally get Aurora melodies that are quite this this happy to go through all of the notes of the scale, but we basically do that in the first two phrases. Okay, so if we start here, 7 6 5 4 5 6 5 4 3 2 1. Okay, so we get all of the notes of the scale straight away. And again, we get some of that, a very, very quick one, but we get a normal D against that D sharp that's somewhere in the harmony there. So that's weird. Yeah. Overall, sort of avoiding clashes. We get this, but this is quite a comfort. That's our 6. That's our added 6, and we've had that in the other version a lot. Here, not so much, but it's still a pretty comfortable added note. So we don't hold on that one, for instance. That would be a bit more of a dissonance. We move away from dissonances, but they're still there. They're just there for brief moments. It's quite jumpy, but it's mainly focused on this descending line. We do that 3 times, but with as our second sort of bit of melody. So it's really going like A, B, A, B, A, B in that kind of fashion. Really quite balanced in that way. But it does leave that last bar pretty empty, which is interesting. Yeah, cool. And then we get the same thing again. Oh. Oh, and this section is just bloody great. I can't play them at the same time, but we get both the melodies and we get it over our original chord sequence. Final hook, I say, which is yeah, not the one we're looking at right now. We basically are going back to our original hook, okay, but we've got our dee-dee-dee over the top. Okay, yeah, it's bloody great. It's really interesting because they're not contrapuntal. They're happening at the same time a lot of the time, but they leave space for sort of the main element of each other. So we get da da da, and we get do while that da 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 is happening. Da 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 da. Again, a held note while we get that one. Da 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 da. And they finish pretty much at the same time, and also we get that. So they end on the 1 and the 2 of that 1 chord, admittedly again on our unresolved chord. So we get basically an A and a B at the same time there, which is a cool sound. Really, really nice, and it's lovely that doesn't resolve, that last one there. It's built for the other section, isn't it? Because we get the 7 there, and the 5 also has that note. But in this section, we get we're on the minor chord there, aren't we? No, hang on. Yes, we've just come from that. Yeah. So it doesn't have the same comfortability, and especially against that, which is already resolved, it's just holding a dissonance. Very cool, very cool. Yeah, and this leaves space for the and then they go together. And yeah, there are some interesting clashes, because that goes and then we get, so again it's another tone dissonance there, and then we get the same thing in the next bar. Okay, really cool, really lovely. It's unconventional. It's not so perfectly juxtaposed that you would go, wow, this person went to college and studied music, but it's done in such a way that it seems like someone just fulfilling a vast level of ambition in a really in a really intuitive way. I absolutely love that. I think that's one of the best bits of anything in the world. But then we get this. Gosh, that last moment there, man. So we get the same thing again, both melodies. Right? Whatever it is. We get both melodies again, but now we're over the other chord sequence. It doesn't quite sound as aggressive as that at that point, because I think this D sharp is really, it's only in certain bits of the accompaniment. Let's see if we can even pick it out. No, at this point you can't really pick it out. Let's compare that to the previous bit. So we've got that coming from these weird choral sounds in the background. But here we don't really have that sound, so we don't have the D sharp aggression. So it feels more like our classic with the half diminished. Yeah, but as so firstly, that's our major 7. Very strident but beautiful place to start. And then yeah, let's move that up. That's almost giving us a sort of E7 there, so like a major 4 chord. Comfortable as anything with the other one. And this is the real, I mean, rubber hitting the road, if you like. We've got the in the bass and in the melody in 3 or 2 different octaves. Yeah, I think it's there, isn't it? And there. And we've got that as the middle chord. That is a dissonance. We've got the 7, the sharpened 7. Sharpened 7 for our minor against the 1 or the 8. That's about as dissonant as it gets in functional, straightforward harmony. Gosh. And they're just held together. Held together. Let's hear it again. Yeah. To be fair, they're not always that recognizable, but the ooh, the one that is actually really holding that note is the oh 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 in the background. So we get it's really like painful, as scrunchy as it could be in the context, I think. Anyway, what do we get after that?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh,
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
very similar to the previous version with that jump up again, but it's not quite the same jump up. 4, 3, 2, 1. The previous one jumped up a whole seventh. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. This is 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Up a fifth. So it feels a little more comfortable. It also fits with the chord maybe a bit better.
The gun is gone, and so am I, and here I go.
And there we have exactly the same phrases to end, just sung a little bit differently. Wonderful! Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. America is wonderful. Okay, well that's that one done. So, I've been talking for an hour 15 on that one. That's actually, I could have gone longer, I suppose. Let's then switch the old positions of Conqueror and Through the Eyes of a Child. Where does Through the Eyes of a Child come on the album again? It comes after I Went Too Far. So let's move it over there. I think that's a great place for it, because I think I Went Too Far and Warrior being next to each other as they are on this playlist is dumb. It's not sensible. Both Jeremy Wheatley mixes. No thank you. Conqueror then. Everyone's favourite. Oh, but before we do that, we must shift over to our top 10s. Here we are. Top 10s. Well, where to put it? My goodness me. Murder Song. Instrumentation, I think, is more interesting than Runaway. Now, we're not going to put the acoustic version on, just to save anyone else's sort of intentions. What do I mean by that? Good question. But we are going to move all those down and put a nice orange, and an oil brush. Is that one? No, it's that one, isn't it? Yeah. We're going to put, Murder Song. Gosh. Good. There we go. Gonna put that right at the top of the list, where it deserves to be. Fill that big old box. Murder Song. And we're gonna put it top of Texture. Because really, I mean, you could argue that the instrumentation of Runaway is better, but you cannot argue that Texture is better. Texture is just the most amazing thing in that song. Really just otherworldly. Oh, gonna have to squidge it. Wow. Yeah, you could still read that. Structure, I mean, look, the structure is also great because we come back to the bridge stuff and then we merge things together. So I would be tempted to put it even above Under Stars. I do love the bridge of Under Stars, but no, I think we're going to do it. I wonder if you can see which one it's not in here. Two remaining. Harmony. Yeah, it's top of harmony. That's where it's going to remain for a very long time. I'm not sure if the one graph is really cool. melody. Now, does it have the best melody? It has some really good melodies. Does it do as well as Little Boy in the Grass? Look, like, I would say, it does really. I think it's more well created than Little Boy in the Grass. I think that the melody itself is pretty straightforward for a lot of it, but the way that the hook and the bridge or the second time bridge melody intertwine, the hook there, the way they intertwine is just brilliant, and I can't ignore it. And I think, yeah, we've gone for a whole thing here. Now, you could definitely argue with this. I'll be interested to hear any alternative arguments, because this does seem like favouritism. But that's what I've come up with. Have we got? Is that 8 songs now? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. It is, yes. So we've got 2 more to go. So next episode, we're probably gonna start smashing things off. But for now, I'm down with ornithology. Grab your binoculars, come follow me. Number 10. Conqueror. Here we go. Another song, get out of here. Don't close Muse Score. Why? I opened the other project. I opened it. This better open Conqueror immediately when I load this up. If I have to click anything else, I'll kick off. Sorry for jiggling the microphone. Oh, come on now. Oh, it did. Did open Conqueror straight away. Well, that's something. Why, though, did I open it before closing the other one? I don't know. Okay. Alright. So, you may have noticed that there were more piano lines on the previous one, and that's something we continue into this. Let's have a listen. Okay. Pretty short intro there, and I've just written it in drums here. Absolutely inappropriate drum scoring. Don't know why I've done it like that, but that is how I have done it. And then we're into the verse straight away. Well, let's just check what it says on the front page here. C major / Lydian. That's interesting. What's Lydian? Well, firstly, let's talk about major. Major we often call Ionian. It's our most straightforward one. Admittedly, doesn't come up as much in Aurora songs as normal, but there we are. It's what most music is based on. And it has those 7 notes. Lydian changes 1 note, and it changes the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's where we find the normal 4. It's one of our most emotive notes in major, along with the 7. 4 to 3, 7 to 8, 1. Okay, you get the idea. Well, Lydian changes the 4 to a sharp 4. It's still one of the most emotive notes, but it goes in the opposite direction. It doesn't fall down like the normal 4, it ascends. 5. Beautiful stuff, really. The Lydian mode can be used in very powerful ways. I would say not in this song. Let's see.
Broken mornings, broken nights, and broken days in between
So we just have pretty straightforward chords here. There's the Lydian mode. Oh, did you see it? We missed it. Okay, this is a really classic chord sequence as well. This is used on like Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, for instance. We go, it was 20 years ago today, Sgt. Pepper told the band to play. Okay, so you know it exists. It's in a lot of others, like Let Love Rule by Lenny Kravitz as well. I mean, there are loads of others. I can't just bring them all to mind. But anyway, the main thing about it is that it's got this chromatic line in it, what Rick Beato calls a line cliche, which I think is rude because it's good and it's not overused, but it is commonly used. And it goes do 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 do. Is how it might more commonly be used, but here we have it in the chords. Okay, 1, 2, 4, 1, all major chords, so this has this real brightness to it, and yeah, we have a slight chromaticism to it, but it doesn't feel very off. It feels like really familiar in a lot of ways, but that sharp 2 really giving us an extreme brightness that we wouldn't get normally, but the melody isn't really giving us any of that. It's pretty low. It's pretty much pentatonic. It's in fact entirely pentatonic. It's giving us C major pentatonic. So it's avoiding either the 4 or the sharp 4 and the 7. It's avoiding all our exciting notes. Does it do anything interesting with the chords? Well, the answer is no. We have a quick moment of 6 there, but that's basically just moving up. We have an anticipation D here for that D chord, and then interestingly here it doesn't fit the chord and it doesn't try and do anything to match that F sharp. Broken nights. We just jump over it. It could go broken nights, but it chooses not to. It chooses to keep to the pentatonic, and that's true of that 4 chord as well. So really it's on its own thing. It's really just going for that C major sound no matter what chords are over it. Interesting.
Open ground, the sky is open, makes an open sea.
Yeah. Same kind of thing going on there, just with some slight differences in prosody. Okay. No real need to talk about that in any particular detail, I think.
Just like in fiction, in every addiction.
Oh, I guess one thing is that we kind of, in the previous section, we have this generally ascending thing, and it has da 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 in the middle, and then we get da 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 da, and we come down. So it does have this sort of Twin Peaks idea, I guess. Right? Doesn't quite come down to the original note, but it's that kind of contour, which is sort of nice. Okay. Oh, oh. One of the most annoying sounds ever. These thirds, 2 different parts doing the same O, and then this short, simple pre-chorus section. We haven't got any notes in here. And by notes I mean we haven't got any accompaniment. We've just got just like in fiction in every addiction. We've just got that. Okay, simple enough. Okay, here we've got maybe it's the first. No, it's not the first example of it. But Aurora really likes this da da ba da da kind of rhythm, da 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 da, which is really a tresillo, which you get a lot in reggaeton, but you also get absolutely bloody loads of music. But da 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 da. That's the rhythm that we get here. We don't get it all the time here. Oh, let me tell you, when Queendom comes, till Queendom comes, you'll see this not as often. And when Queendom comes, you'll see it a whole lot. But here we've got a little bit of it. Da 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 ba da ba ba da da da. Right? It's this kind of weird offbeat rhythm. Especially at this speed, it feels really exciting. Da 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 da. Yeah, fun rhythm, and especially against the oh, which are pretty more on the beat. Simpler rhythm. There's a slower version actually. It's the same thing, but just on the like 2x scale. Da ba da ba da. Okay, so same kind of rhythm, and it goes against the main beat. 1, 2, 3, 4. Conqueror. Ba ba da ba da. You get the idea? Anyway, this is very high. Ah! Shouting out these C's. All of a sudden, we've been very comfortable. Well, we haven't been too far away, but we've been pretty comfortable down there, and then suddenly, whoa! Yeah. I guess, okay, I should have said in the previous section we've got a a non-pentatonic note for the first time. We got the normal F. Okay, but then we're back to pentatonics. In fact, we're just using 3 notes. Very, very simple melody with a lot of that top C. That's the only one that's repeated, and it's repeated an awful lot. The harmony underneath is the same as the verse, but we're missing the sort of extra harmony notes. Right? We've not got that line anymore. We really just have these low notes giving us the same chords. Now, it's a good question about whether we still have that Lydian feeling to it. I'll be looking for the Conqueror. I would say we don't really. I would say more like that. Conqueror, but you don't seem to come my way. What would you feel? I don't know. Let me know. It still feels very bright, though, doesn't it? Here we've got fourths mainly, and straight fourths as well. It's really kind of unromantic, I would say. The only moment they don't is on the, where the lower one just stays on the same one. It could have just gone down. Yeah, and in this way they avoid using any non-pentatonic notes, because if they were in thirds, if they were doing, or sixths, they would have to use some of the more interesting notes. But here we've just got really blocky kind of sounding melody, I would say. I'm being harsh, but you know, it's keeping it on a more simplistic emotional level, let's say. Trying to be nice about it there. Yeah, and we have this little melody at the end from these high tinkly sounds. Yeah, just giving us kind of same thing. It's almost an echo. I've been waiting for the Conqueror. You know, same kind of notes, just up an octave, and it with our dun dun da rhythm. So that's nice. Back to the verse.
Broken me and broken them. You are broken too.
Really? This is quite impressive, the extent that this harmony part goes to not use any non-pentatonic notes. Apart from there, yeah. Broken to. There we use the 4. Still not used the 7 at all in this song, so that's interesting. Keep an eye out for it, see if it happens. But yeah. And we just have a brief one of these blue moments which we've got occasionally in all the songs so far. You are broken too. So coming out of key just for one brief moment as part of the melodic and back in after that. Okay. Same thing. It's that, isn't it? Yeah, I missed that. Yeah. So what's interesting about the harmony here is that it's locked together in time. They're always moving at the same time, but the intervals are very different from note to note. We get starts the 6th, 4th, a 3rd still, but then it opens to a 4th, a 5th, a 3rd, starts as a 6th and then goes to a 4ths. So that's a bit like the chorus. And then we get the 7th, brief moment of a 4th before a 5th, 5th, 4th, or a 3rd. So it's really jumping over different intervals. It's not following the same patterns that we get in other songs. They're almost like two different melodies, but they're stuck together in that kind of way. Okay, so here we get more thirds, and that means we come with more of that F. But we avoid... No, it doesn't go for the 7th. It jumps over. Okay, so we're still not going for all 7 notes of the key. That's totally fine. We've also got some harmony here. This is pretty simple, but we've got the A minor at the bottom. There's no right? Yeah, and then the second time we start with the 4th chord, sorry, the 6th chord, and then we go to the 4th chord. So that 6 is a new chord, and it's a minor chord as well, so I guess there's some interest there. Nothing particularly unusual about how the melody goes over the top there. I suppose on the 4 chord it really feels like it's waiting for the C chord to start with C chord notes. We do then resolve to the 4, but we immediately go back away from it and back away from it. So yeah, so another sort of this anticipation relationship that AURORA has. Okay, right, chorus again. So far, very much the same kind of thing. Same at the end there. Both verses had the harmonies, so that's really the main difference. Oh, actually, was there another difference? Let's hear it again. So the bass here is the thing I'm listening to. Yeah, there's one difference. So we go... Okay, so we have one moment where the bass goes up to the 5, the G, and then down to the 1. So it makes it really feel like a finished moment when we get back to the 1 note. So slightly different to the verse. Same thing there. Now we get a little more complicated. Sorry, I'm sorry for hitting the mic. I know the cable is a bit rubbish at the moment. We've got this over the top, which is nice. That's giving us our 7th for the first time, so that's nice. But it is just in a moving passage, not very important. And then we've got this in the bass now. So all of those changes, we went from 1 to 2 to 4. All those changes have an extra move in them. 1 to 3 to 2, to 3 to 4, and then 5 to 1. Okay, so we've built up that bass and made it slightly more interesting, slightly more dynamic. And then we've got that descending melody. Now it doesn't go all the way down, but it could. Keep an eye out for it. We've got the 7th, and we finish on the 4. Well, we end the descent on the 4 before moving back up to the 5, nice and comfortable with the chord. Okay, and again, so we don't finish there. This is this bit. Okay, bridge. Nice little bit of melody there. Same kind of rhythm, but this time it's extended, so we get the real axac stuff there. Okay, so this is using that 3s against 2s idea. Clocks by Coldplay is another song that does that. We get I can never remember where it is. 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3. Yeah, that kind of thing. So this is doing that while we've got a pretty normal beat in the background as well. But feel la 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 la. Okay, and we've got these nice chords being sung just as hums. Yeah, just going down from an A minor chord to a G chord, like 5 4 3 2 1. Pretty straightforward change. Okay. Same thing. Yeah, harmonies again. This time, yeah, we do have that 7th. Big jump there for the top harmony. It comes down to an not even an anticipatory one, just one that doesn't fit with either chord. Doesn't fit with this. I guess the top note fits with that one, but the low note doesn't. But then it kind of stops before that chord anyway. But yeah, we have the 4 chord here rather than the 6 chord, so it's gone 6 5 6 5 4 5, and it does the same thing again. But we've got that in octaves. Yeah, and it stops itself before it repeats too much. Because the thing about 3s is they don't fit very nicely into 8. So we have to do something different. We have to go 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2. Something like that. And that just fizzes in, takes everything else out, and brings us back to the chorus. Very straightforward bridge there, nothing to write home about. Chorus though, what's going on in the chorus? So we've got the main bit. And the at the end. And we've also got in the background. It's hard to hear, but it is there. So before we get the main melody, we get I've been looking for a conqueror. You get the idea? And it happens both times, yeah. So we're getting again the bridge melody moved into the chorus at the end, so things sort of lock together in a polyphonic way. Lots of notes going on, but mostly pentatonic notes. And this time we finish that scale. It goes all the way down. It's look, you're going to begrudge someone doing a melody at the end of a section that just does a scale down. Look, if it was the main thing, maybe that would be a problem. I think it's quite nice here. Same thing, still the same thing. Cool. Now we've lost the main melody, haven't we? We've still got but I feel alive, and we've still got the and we've got that other one that was filling the space at the end. Now that's filling the space for the other one, so we get and then that one starts again. So this is proper contrapoint, really, counterpoint. Anyone listen to contrapoints still? There's been some controversy, hasn't there? That's nothing about nothing. I think contrapoints is a really wonderful creator, really interesting, and with lots of good points. And Israel is another thing. So this time we bring that scale early. That's kind of interesting. This doesn't quite feel as finished as this. So having this a little bit early, it sounds so bad like that, doesn't it? Having a little bit early suggests we're going to change how we end. And we do. We just get up this melody. 1, 2, 3, 5, 1. All pentatonic notes, missing the 6, but still, you know, it's all the pentatonic notes that we are doing on that chord, I guess. Nice 1 finish. Everything's very straightforward. Yeah, so we didn't really get the beauty of Lydian going on there. We only got it in one section properly, and in other sections we kind of missed the F on most of those 2 chords. We didn't get the F sharp at all. In any of the melody or harmony parts, other than that one right at the beginning. Da, 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 da. So a little bit of a missed opportunity there, but nonetheless, you know, it does pretty strong stuff with what it has, which is not that much. Well, now how do we put it on this, eh? Instrumentation. Oh, we've got some interesting bits of instrumentation in there. We've got some bells, we've got some very powerful drums, we've got some really stonking piano. I think instrumentation we can be a bit generous here. I'd probably put it. I'd put it ahead of Understars, I think, for instrumentation. I don't think the instrumentation is as good as Running with Wolves there. So let's now write Conqueror. Oh, let's make it a smaller brush. That was really the problem with Murder Song, wasn't it? Oh, that's very skinny, isn't it? Nonetheless, easily readable. Okay. Conqueror. Copy and paste. Oh no, don't paste it just yet. Alright, let's make that box again. I'll take it. Number 5. Not too shabby. Okay, texture. Well, the texture isn't that exciting, is it? It's like thick, but a lot of the time you can't really hear a lot going on. There's this low stuff, and there's this. There's not a lot happening up here. There's not a lot happening here. We get some interesting polyphony at the end, but I think overall the texture is a little underwhelming. So I'm tempted to put it even below. Yeah, I'd put it below Awakening. Do we think it's better than Puppet? Yeah, it's hard to argue Puppet has a good texture. So move that one down. Conqueror goes in there. Bon. And then structure. Look, the structure is very straightforward. It does have a short pre-chorus, which is kind of nice. So I might put it higher than Puppet again, but actually I should probably put it higher than In Boxes, because In Boxes doesn't have anything even that exciting structurally. Although they both, well, no, In Boxes has a fun end with the with the two sections sort of intertwining, so I think we can put it ahead of Puppet, but not ahead of In Boxes. Good giving objective arguments to what is basically a subjective process, isn't it? Ah, no. Oh, man, get a skill. Okay. Harmony. The harmony has one thing about it. Now that's more than Awakening does. Is it more than Puppet does? Yes. But gosh, most of the harmony is very straightforward. But yeah, all right, we'll give it a bit. We'll give it a bit. But when Runaway has significantly more harmony going on, even than this. So there we are. Yeah. Really different side of the list, this one. Yeah. And then melody. The melody is probably what it has best going for it. Maybe the instrumentation is actually. No, the melody. It's pretty straightforward, isn't it? It's certainly not higher than Running with the Wolves, and most of In Box's melody is really good. Actually, we can't. I would probably actually put it below Puppet in this respect. That's so funny. I thought it was the best thing about it, but actually, yeah, none of the bits of melody are very interesting. Puppet at least has some unusual elements to it. I think we're putting it bottom of the list. There we go. Number 9. And there we are. That's today done. Hey, in under 2 hours. Nice one, me. Well done. I actually need to go immediately. But there we are. Yeah, some more Aurora songs. We have started to see some patterns turning up lately, haven't we? One of those would be the use of blue notes in brief melismas. Yeah. Yeah, what else? Harmonically, we've used a lot of the same language. Sort of in minor, we've got 1, 7, and 6 a lot of the time. In major, well, we've used the 1, 4, 5, and 6. So those are actually kind of the same chords in major and minor. We do get ones that stick out though, like Murder Song, and we've got some interesting things that have happened at other times. Use of different modes within the same piece. I guess In Boxes and Little Boy in the Grass at the moment are by themselves in a category using that aeolian dorian thing. That may well come up again. We shall see. Hope you've had a good time. Have a good day and a good life, and I'll see you again. Snowball farming! Won't you come a snowball farming with me? It's free! Although, as I say, feel free to contribute. I love you. Bye.